Hello, hello, my brothers and sisters. This is Garrett Bake, your brother in arms, and welcome to another episode of The Tactical Businessman. Today's topic: I almost pooped my pants. Do you remember when you were in like elementary school, junior high ish? Of course, it's not like it was today. Tinder didn't exist, cell phones didn't really exist. So, most of the time, when you wanted to find out if somebody liked you or somebody wanted to go out with you, what did you do? Well, you had to write a note or you had to talk to them. I know, sounds crazy, right? I remember there was this one girl, and I don't know, it was like fifth grade or something, and I really liked her. I don't even remember her name right now, which is really bad, but I don't remember her name. I just remember I really liked her. And so every day I'd walk into a chemistry class, I think it was, and I'd see her and I'd be all, nervous and excited and anxious, right? And I'm like, I don't know, does she like me or not? I don't know. And then I asked my friend, do you think she likes me? And he'd be like, I don't know. And like I spent weeks doing this until finally I wrote one of those silly little notes, right? Do you like me? Yes or no? And like passed it to her. Now, this isn't a love story, so the response I got back was a very clear no. And yes, my heart was broken in fifth grade, ever so slightly. But I moved on to, the next girl that I liked or whatever. But there was something that I learned there, right? And I didn't really understand the lesson then. Come to high school. And as most of you have heard the story of how I met my wife. It was we were both going to the same high school. I was a senior, she was a junior, and I'd seen her before. She was a cheerleader, I was a football player, but we didn't fall in love like that traditional way, right? She didn't like come up to me and say, "Hey, you're so cute," or I didn't walk up to her and I'm like, "Man, I really like the way you cheer." We met in a government class. We were in different periods, but we had the same government class, and we had a competition based on knowing the Constitution. And during these times, I saw her more and got really anxious and nervous about, wow, she's really hot, and I'd love to go out with her, and uh, never really got the balls to formally ask her. So what I did was my own version of flirting, which, by the way, I do not recommend. We had gone. We lived in a small little border town, and we had gone up to Phoenix, where they were having the state competition. And during the drive, we stopped at, I think it was a Carl's Jr. to get breakfast. And so she's sitting down trying to eat her breakfast, and she's trying to put a piece of pancake in her mouth. And someone, an unknown someone, he shall not be named, okay, it was me, came up behind her and literally slapped the food out of her hand and then walked away. I'm like, yes, that's right. I am the man. And she's like, who the hell is that? And then a couple more times I did it, right? And so my version of flirting was her version of, who is this asshole? Now, things eventually worked out, right? It took quite a while for her to realize that I just was not very well versed in the art of asking women out, especially ones that were very attractive like she was. So for the first couple of months of her knowing me, I was simply referred to as the stalker. Yes, that's right. I was a stalker. But here's the point. The point in this whole thing is there was a pattern that was establishing itself, right? Now, you think I'm talking about asking girls out, but it's not that. So I'm going to continue and see if you can pick up what this pattern is, or pick up on the pattern. When I first started running marathons, I've talked about the training involved in it. I've talked about me being prepared. I've talked about me being unprepared. But what I haven't shared with you is what happens at the beginning, at the start line. If you've ever run any type of race, or you've ever experienced any type of physical competition, you can probably relate to this. There's a lot of porta potties at the beginning of a marathon. I mean, a lot. And there's even some within the first mile or two. And I was like, why are there so many porta potties? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Until I stood there for 15 to 20 minutes. And for some reason, even though I'd already gone to the bathroom, I felt like I had to go again. So I would go in and I'd think, oh, I'm just going to take a piss. And it turned quickly into, no, I have to take a dump. And so I would take a dump. And this thing kept repeating itself over all of these marathons that I've run. I've done, I think, 12 marathons. And this pattern kept repeating itself. And I'm like, why in the hell do I keep having to use the bathroom prior to these marathons? Why is it that when I start the race, the actual marathon, there's so many people peeling off the first mile or two to use a porta potty? Like, why is that? So there you go. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. Can you figure out the connection between me and a girl in 5th grade, me and my wife in high school, and porta potties? See, there is a connection. And here's the connection. The connection is very simple. It took me a while to figure this out. But here's the lesson. Action alleviates anxiety. Action alleviates anxiety. Now, let's go back to these 3 stories, right? 5th grade, super anxious, nervous, excited, scared, whatever you want to call it. All these mixed up emotions inside of me that kept going on for weeks simply because I didn't know whether this girl liked me or not. And it wasn't until I took action, i.e. passed her a note, that I realized that, oh, she didn't like me. So cool. Then I could move on, right? There was no more anxiety there. Why? Because I took action. Either she was going to like me or she wasn't. But me just sitting on the sidelines trying to read her mind was not going to get me anywhere. Same thing with my wife in high school. The action that I took, again, probably more stalker and asshole behavior than it was, hey, the Rico Suave, if you will, trying to pick up on my wife. It wasn't that type of engagement with her, but what I did have was anxiety. Anxiety over whether she would like me or not. Anxiety over whether she wanted to go on a date with me or not. And so in my own way, maybe not the best way, but in my own way, I took action. I took action towards alleviating this anxiety that I was feeling inside. Same thing for a marathon. Doesn't matter how hard you've trained, how prepared or unprepared you are, there's still this feeling of anxiety that happens at the beginning of a marathon. And so as you're standing there with hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, the longest line is always at the porta potty. Same thing when I went and did the Spartan race with my son a couple months ago. Like, everybody's at the porta potty. Why? Because they have this anxiety of, am I prepared enough? Am I not? Am I going to do well? Am I not? Is it too hot or is it not? Should I wear these socks or should I not? Should I put sunscreen on or not? And so all of these decisions are just creating anxiety. And how is it that one gets past this roadblock of anxiety? It is simply through taking action. That's it. Now, it sounds a lot easier than it is to actually complete in person. Now, I'll tell you, when I first started recording this podcast, I remember when I recorded my first episode. It wasn't on a super nice mic. It wasn't in a studio. It was literally me walking down the street at 4 o'clock in the morning because I was so nervous. I could not sit in a chair. So I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And so I went for a walk and I got my phone out and I got my little voice note out and I started talking. And I actually talked for 42 minutes or so. It was quite a bit of time. I didn't realize I had that much inside of me, right? But after I was able to get all of that out, I felt better. I felt relieved. I was like, okay, I can do this. And here we are, 82 episodes in. And I've been able to share my message with you. So I want you to think right now in your life, where is it that you aren't taking this action and that you're full of anxiety? I, like you, have come to places and times in my life where this anxiety has literally kept me up at night. This anxiety has caused nightmares. This anxiety has caused stress. It's caused me not to eat. It's caused me to lose weight. It's caused me to be unable to focus on the rest of my life. So yes, I'm talking about physical things right now. I'm talking about running races. I'm talking about relationships, right? But it really has to do with everything in your life. Now, if you're a businessman or you work for a business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's deploying that new ad. It's picking up the phone and calling that prospect. It's all of these things that are literally required for you to do in business to have success that bring you anxiety. Here's the crazy part about business, and I'm just starting to realize this now. The crazy part about business is that it is predictable. Let me say that again. The crazy part about business is that it is predictable. We keep thinking that business isn't predictable. Business is simply a numbers game. Once you connect with your audience, it is simply a numbers game. You can use the 80-20 rule. You can use, whatever other rule you want to use, but it's a numbers game. So you have to get on the phone with a certain number of people in order to close them. You have to get a certain number of people to watch your webinar in order for them to be able to buy. You have to get a certain number of people into your program to be able to upsell them to the next level. So it's always a numbers game. And if you understand the numbers, then you know the only way to do it is, that's right, do it. So you're going to have anxiety over whether you're a good enough closer on the phone. You're going to have anxiety about whether you can sell something or not. You're going to have anxiety about whether your new ad's going to work or not. So you're going to have anxiety around everything when it comes to business. But how is it that you alleviate that anxiety? That's right, through action. Now let me ask you, do you feel anxiety in your relationship? I gave a pretty silly example when it came to my wife and I, and how it was that I first interacted with her. But do you have anxiety in your relationship right now? Is it caused by this lack of sex? Is it caused by the fact that you just feel like you can't talk to your wife anymore? Is it caused by the fact that when you get home at night, you feel like your kids don't even want to talk to you? They just want to play on their phones. There's always anxiety around your relationship. And so you'd rather not take action, or you'd rather take another action than address it. So what's the biggest thing that's holding marriages back? It's a simple word. It starts with a C. Communication. Communication is what holds marriages back. And so in order to alleviate the anxiety that you're feeling when it comes to the conversation of intimacy or sex, the conversation of the fact that you're unhappy, the conversation of the fact that you don't feel like you're appreciated, the conversation that has to do with the kids, all of these conversations need to happen. Communication needs to happen, i.e. action will alleviate your anxiety. You could tell yourself in your head all day long that your wife doesn't love you. You could tell yourself in your head all day long that your kids only see you as a walking, talking ATM. But until you physically address these issues, nothing is going to change. And you're just going to go absolutely crazy in your head with all of these different scenarios that are going on. Same thing when it comes to your body. You could tell yourself stories all day long about how you're not going to lose weight, about how you're not strong enough, about how they're going to make fun of you, about how this and how that, and we can go on and on and on. But until you go to the gym, you're going to continue to experience that anxiety. So here's another cheat code for you in life. Action alleviates anxiety. Take the time to take the action. You already know what it is. The crazy part is that you will pay hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to have someone tell you what you already know you need to do. How do I know this? Because I experience it. I have men who want me to coach them, who want me to help them with their life. And the crazy part is they already know the answers. They just want somebody to kick them in the pants and tell them to go do it. So if you're looking to improve your marriage, if you're looking to improve your business, if you're looking to improve your body, how do we do that? Action. Action alleviates anxiety. So I challenge you to take action. Pick one of these areas in your business, in your relationship, in your body. Pick one of these areas and take the action that you know needs to be taken in order to alleviate the anxiety that you're feeling. All right, that's all I got for you today. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.